This video provides a structural analysis of urban governance and the divergence between broad, aggregate racial classifications and the specific, generationally distinct claims of foundational Black Americans. To understand the context of this discussion, we define a biracial American as a person with parents of different racial ethnicities who were both born in America. This distinction is central to our analysis. The first section addresses the structural friction in modern urban governance, examining how civil rights movement leverage has been institutionalized into frameworks often managed by non-Black administrators to benefit specific immigrant enclaves. Next, we explore the co-optation of the people of color monolith. This classification creates administrative loopholes, allowing resources intended for historic domestic remedies to be captured by groups with different historical struggles. Beyond bureaucratic manipulation, this trend includes cultural extraction. Some individuals adopt AAVE and civil rights rhetoric to secure social capital while maintaining no real accountability to the historic Black community. Moving into the urban mechanics, we examine how housing and development programs mask a distribution system that disenfranchises long-term Black residents through specific economic mechanisms. This table illustrates the divergence between the treatment of immigrant enclaves and foundational Black Americans under the broad administrative umbrella of equity funds. In conclusion, we argue that true equity requires abandoning the POC monolith in policymaking. A lineage-based framework is necessary to ensure targeted remedies reach the communities for whom they were intended. A comparative analysis reveals a hierarchy of municipal assistance. Newly arrived communities are often fast-tracked, while multi-generational Black Americans face bureaucratic stagnation and persistent redlining. Furthermore, immigration networks can influence real estate markets. Coordinated settlement strategies and the expansion of enclaves drive up rents and property values, effectively displacing long-term Black families. We also observe selective upzoning and the use of discretionary budgets to protect specific ethnic enclaves, often at the expense of necessary infrastructure upkeep in Black neighborhoods. These officials frequently use a, quote, progressive rhetorical shield, labeling programs as universal wins for POC to deflect criticism from those who would point out this inequity. The solution lies in a critical reconstruction through lineage disaggregation. We must recognize that the refusal to separate race data has been used to dilute the political strength of Black Americans. This framework highlights how current categorization erases vital differences in lineage, historical claims, and institutional treatment between foundational Black Americans and voluntary immigrant populations. By disaggregating this data, we can move toward a more precise understanding of who these civil rights remedies were originally meant to support. This video now shifts focus to a practical tool for data transparency, the Municipal Budget Freedom of Information Act Tracking Framework. To identify how funding for minority-owned business enterprises is redirected away from foundational Black Americans, you must request granular, localized data while enforcing compliance with public records laws. When filing requests, use the specific terminology for your state, such as FOIL in New York or CPRA in California, to ensure your inquiries are processed according to the correct statutes. We begin with housing and assistance dispersal. Request 10 years of data, broken down by zip code and census tract, to analyze who is actually receiving vouchers and down payment assistance. Your requests should include average processing times for these benefits, categorized by neighborhood and primary language, to identify if specific groups are receiving fast-track or priority treatment. Next, examine discretionary funding. Request a line item ledger of all City Council discretionary funds, including the specific demographic focus of the recipient nonprofits or vendors. It is also vital to request communication records from council members containing keywords related to zoning exemptions or density variances, specifically cross-referenced with real estate developers. Compare municipal infrastructure spending on repairs and parks by census tract to visualize potential disparities in investment between historic Black wards and expanding enclaves. For minority-owned business enterprise contracts, demand demographic data that distinguishes between foreign-born business owners and descendants of enslaved Black Americans. Furthermore, audit the total value of small business loans and tax abatements, ensuring these figures are categorized by the specific race and origin of the owners. Finally, request environmental impact studies and zoning minutes to see how industrial rezonings and high-density shelters are placed in relation to the racial demographics of council districts. Be aware that agencies may use quote, constructive denial to exhaust your patience. These tactics are designed to run out the clock or make compliance impossible. The next few segments cover the counter strategies you can deploy to effectively navigate and overcome these bureaucratic obstruction methods. Effective data management is crucial. Establish a master ledger to track incoming files, including source agencies and redaction levels, ensuring your evidence remains verifiable. Always preserve raw data in a read-only format. Create a separate working directory for analysis and anonymize any sensitive personal information found within the records. To visualize your findings, employ open-source tools like QGIS or Kepler.gl. Start by mapping historical 1930s redlining boundaries as your baseline layer, then overlay modern municipal resource distribution, such as housing vouchers or grants, by zip code. Add a third layer for infrastructure by plotting industrial zoning and waste facilities. By running a spatial join, you can clearly demonstrate whether modern discretionary funds are shifting away from historic black wards toward newer enclaves, even as industrial dumping continues in the former. Always draft follow-up administrative appeals if an agency exceeds its acknowledgement window. Maintain meticulous records of every request and receipt, as proper preparation is essential for accountability. Stay safe in your efforts to bring transparency to your community.